So my business is the Shark Consignment Store. This logo that I have right now, it's currently pending because Sean told me it kind of looked like a wedding dress, and it wasn't until it was like blown up in my face that I saw that it looked like a wedding dress, so that is going to be in the works. What a consignment store is basically a seller can bring in a lightly used item, furniture or clothing, and they determine a price point in which they want to sell it at, and I would basically allow them to sell it in that space. I would keep a part of the profit, and then they would keep the remainder, and so it's basically just an opportunity for people to get rid of any clothing or furniture that they don't need. So basically, where I got the concept of this idea is at the end of every year, at the beginning of every year, commons, any of those residential buildings anywhere around, you just see like a horrifying mess. Piles of clothing up to this big of kids that have to move out. They have nowhere to go. A lot of them are out of the state, so rather than transporting a bunch of clothes that they don't want or don't fit in, or furniture across the state or through planes or whatever, they just end up tossing it out. So I ended up working for the housing over the summer, and we had a project to get rid of the old clothing, and what we thought was being donated ended up being just thrown out. So it was kind of a shame. Another thing that was kind of funny was my roommates, as we were walking by and we saw those piles, not to kind of draw attention to that, but we would like look at some things and they seemed like, it was worn one time. It's still in perfectly good shape. There's nothing wrong with this. It could be even designer or something that's nice. And we kind of took a few things and we were like, we could easily wash this and still wear it. And that's kind of what the concept of thrift stores are. And it's a big growing concept, especially with millennials and any young people nowadays. They like to save money and kind of do the best they can. So this would kind of reduce clutter. It would open up an opportunity for students to kind of make an additional profit and kind of get rid of some stuff that they don't need as well. And one other point that I wanted to do was another idea that kind of inspired me to do this, aside from the amount of things that actually need to be got rid of, is I recently started selling a few of my used old things on Poshmark. And basically, it protects the buyer and seller. You just kind of upload, a purse or something like that. I had a boy that I was not very happy with, and kind of wanted to get rid of a few of the things that he got me. So I uploaded some things, and here and there, I ended up getting a bunch of money for things that were just laying around and kind of giving me bad memories. So, and that's an idea that could be opened up to anybody. Everybody wants to make a few bucks off of things that they're not using or kind of have cluttered away. So it's really easy, requires like a really low startup costs. Inventory is basically given. You don't have to like fight for it. So basically I went on and did a survey. I surveyed 200 people from various organizations. These were the questions that I surveyed them with. The first one was during the past few clothing donation drives held by Nova. Did you donate any used clothing? How likely are you to shop at thrift stores? How do you typically shop for clothes? What locations? Approximately how much would you spend on lightly used clothing? How often do you shop for new clothes? Are you a residential student? And then do you have an access to a car? And then your gender, just to see what items am I expecting? Am I going to be expecting more girls' clothes, male clothes? So these were the results. 64% said that they did give away their clothing in those drives. Whether it be, when I say drives, I was referring to, I kind of had like an explanation up top. It was at the end of the semester when they had those piles of clothing in those boxes. So that's what I mean when I refer to as drives. 64% said that they did, 34% that they said that they did not. 20% said that they are not very likely to shop at a thrift store, 52% are somewhat likely, and 28% are very likely. Typically shopping for clothes, 12% go to a mall, 20% go to local stores, and 68% do online shopping. The price points that I usually got, that I mostly got, were about $6 to $10, which is about fair. $2 to $5 seems a little bit low personally. It could be if there was like some small things, but I think that a majority of my price points is going to be between $6 to $15. And then anything that was 16 and up kind of seemed a little bit high. How often they shop for new clothes, the majority did it every other month. A majority of the people that I surveyed were residential students, it was about 60%, and that was just because that would be the location of wherever I'm selling the clothes. So I don't really envision people that are commuters to go back on campus to buy clothes when they have, they have to go off campus anyways. And this would be good for a freshman that may not have a car and, might need to get rid of something or buy like a quick shirt or a quick outfit or something like that, or a bookcase or a shower head, whatever or the shower kind of organizers. This is just the analysis. A lot of students would benefit from those kind of services. It would give them a place to throw things away. The best price range is about $6 to $10. Most of the students lived on campus, and then I found that a majority of them are female. So the target market, as I talked about, would be residential students. However, that does open up kind of a place for faculty, for students, for honestly anyone in the area or anyone who knows about this to give away old clothes. Maybe a majority of my buyers would be residential students, but anyone can donate and anyone is encouraged to donate, and I'm sure that everyone has something that they can donate or wants to get rid of. So the pricing, I stole off of Poshmark. They usually keep 20% of the profits and then the seller keeps 80%. So I think I'm going to kind of base my price point around that because that seems about fair. That does have to be determined by like the amount of clothes I get. If I get, a huge amount of clothes, that could kind of change the price points. But so far to start, I have that as a base using Poshmark as reference. And then I kind of wanted to reduce my own set of clutter. I don't want to hold something for longer than 2 weeks. That kind of just shows that it's not really meant to be sold. When a seller comes and gives me clothing, I will have them sign like an agreement, sign like a liability, that basically that they will be getting this money, that there was a transaction made, and then they will be given an option if this doesn't sell, would you like to get this clothing back to you or do you just want it to go straight to donation? So they have that option regardless. And then additional resources such as eBay or Poshmark. If anything, something that I also had like a thought process of is if they want to still sell this item but need help and maybe like this population isn't people that are going to be buying this, if they would like me to personally go on those websites and put it in for them and see what I can do, that would be an additional resource. Marketing, I think the best way to market this would be through social media. What I want to do is anytime I see like a new item, I receive a new item that's something that I want to display, something that can get people's attention and come check this out, I want to post a picture of it onto Instagram. So basically my posts are going to be determined off of the amount of items that I have, the amount of items that I really want to showcase. Snapchat is nice because I know that a lot of students use it. I can use my own personal friends, and it's both ways with Instagram and Snapchat. I can use my personal account just because then people will know that it's coming from me. And I also do plan on making an additional account just to have like a professional, something that they can say that this is the business page, but then, having something that I post on my own account will kind of give people an incentive to say like, hey, this is my friend, let me go support what she's doing. I plan to target most of my promotions through social media. If that's not doing enough, if I want to give it an extra push, I may consider putting in money into business cards or kind of something more extravagant, but for the time being, the cheaper the better. So. These are some of my promotional materials that I've made. This one might be something that I have where it's discounted, and basically I would have to give up 10% of whatever I'm making, but that could draw in people to get an additional 10% off of their clothing. This will just explain, the poster on the left just explains a little bit more what I'm expecting, what they can expect to be kind of getting, receiving. Lightly worn clothes, no stains or rips, furniture and decor, and then you get paid when your stuff sells. And then it has both of my operating hours. This one would just be a bigger poster which showcases which hours I'm operating. I typically take my classes in the morning, so anything that's in the afternoon, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, typically works better for my schedule. So, the SWOT analysis. My strengths would be the location. If everything works out kind of the way as planned, the new residential building will allow me to have space for this business, which would be nice because that's kind of where the problem takes place. That's where the clutter is made. So having something in the residential area would be nice. It allows students to get rid of their unwanted things and make some additional money, and it's easy to start. I don't need a lot to be bought, if anything, maybe just a few things. The weaknesses, there's no guaranteed ways of sales. It is commission-based, and I've worked commission-based jobs before, and sometimes they can suck because you don't have anything at the end of the day that says these are the expected sales. It's mostly just the amount of traffic that comes in. And the opportunities, we could partner up with organizations that need donated clothes, kind of around the area, any shelters, anything like that. And then that would kind of incite people to donate their clothes if they know that it would go to one of those shelters. And then lastly, threats. Any secondhand shops or thrift shops in the area, any clothing stores around. But the NSU bookstore and the NSU clothing store, the one issue about them is their prices are a little bit higher in the price range, like Brett brought up. They are closer to the 45s, 50s, so this would definitely be something good for people looking for a budget. And another opportunity that I thought of was if anybody with like clothing stores or anything like that wants to donate some of their stuff to me to kind of have another way to get their items kind of promoted, that would be a good partnership to have. So the location, like I said, would be determined if the innovation area in the new residential building allows for it. I want to get a cute lounge area set up, and that would kind of make the area look more appealing, kind of get it to drift away from the like thrift shop or like secondhand shop vibe where it might, you know, appear a little bit as a turnoff to some people. So the nicer it looks, the more kept up it looks, the more it's going to draw people to go in. If I could have a promised corner in the room, that would work the best just because I won't have to be moving some stuff around. However, the stuff that I plan to buy are going to be small enough anyways that if I do need to transport it, it shouldn't be a problem. So I made a shopping list on Amazon of some stuff that I may want, and I feel like this gave like a really good, like exact breakdown of basically what I could use. A mannequin, a divider for either kind of asserting that this is like my area of the shop, or like a changing room, whatever could be used for that. 2 of those hanging racks, a lamp, a couch, a mirror, a carpet, and like a lot of those things like aren't necessary. Like I could run my business well without a couch or like a little rug or something. So, if worse comes to worse, not having these things isn't going to be like I can't start my business. It's just going to be something that draws people in to say like, hey, this looks cute, what's going on here? Yeah. So this is just kind of the only thing that I need. I would need about $350 to break even if I get 20% of every sale. It would take me selling about $1,700 worth of clothes or items. And it sounds like a big number. It kind of scared me at first, but then I remembered that could just be like, you know, selling a few higher price things or a few, you know, $10, $15 throughout a month. That could be easily done. And then here's my contact if you have any questions. Thank you.
So one of the first things that sort of hit me, and you answered it a little bit, but the whole location and kind of the amount of storage that you would probably need on a, I mean, I would think in order for this to be viable, once again, this is not my area of expertise, but that you would need a fair amount of space to have enough inventory to really be able to make it worthwhile. And so I kind of wonder, you know, would it make sense to, you know, maybe not have this open, I think you were saying like 3 days a week, but more of it be
a seasonal thing?
Yeah, or like an event, you know.
I thought about that, but what makes me nervous is the Dean Williams said I have to be open for this amount of hours.
No, understand.
Which, if I could cram it into like those end semesters.
But my suspicion is that part of those opening hours, you're going to have to factor in prep time.
Okay.
You know, of setting up and being open and collecting the merchandise, pricing the merchandise,
Right.
dealing with the agreements and all those ancillary things that are, you know, much more time intensive than some of the other businesses.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wonder, especially given what the story or the narrative that you started with was, okay, at the end of the semester or end of the year, people are, you know, pretty much throwing away all this stuff. You know, so what if you were to be collecting it, putting it into a storage unit, you know, over the summer or over the semester, and then at the beginning of each term, you have 1 or 2 sales events, you know, a week or two into the semester, where, you know, it's a big blowout to try to you know, move as much merchandise as you possibly can, and instead of necessarily having it be something that's just open
year round.
Yeah, I mean, you might even do it for 1 week in duration, you know, instead of, you know, once again, every single week having to open up shop. Because I also kind of think that you know, just from a storage thing on site within that facility, that they may, you know, be a little bit hesitant to offer up that storage on kind of a somewhat semi-permanent basis. But you know, that's a whole other issue to kind of get worked out. But yeah, my whole thing was just, you know, I think it's gonna be a lot of merchandise you're gonna have to carry. I do love the idea of collecting all of the product at the end of each term and going through that and picking out the items that are worth keeping and reselling, and maybe even doing that more so than the actual consignment piece, simply because the consignment piece is going to get messy. You're gonna have to keep track of who gave it to you. You know, well, what if it gets shoplifted?
So
you know, what if it, you know, what, you know, all those other kinds of, you know, just issues that are going to pop up with that person, you know, and their merchandise. You know, oh, well, somebody tried it on and they stained it, or they, you know, I don't know, you know, just an endless possibility of issues, especially if it's a higher priced piece of clothing.
So what you're suggesting is that people just donate to me what they donate, and then I technically
What's wrong with
own
that?
it at that point. Do
Yeah.
you think that I mean.
Well, I mean, if they're throwing it
hope so,
away,
that'd be nice.
no, but if they're throwing, if what you were saying is true, if they're throwing this stuff away, why could they not? You know, you just simply become the organization that is simply collecting it and selling it, and I suppose you could say that maybe part of your profit, under those circumstances, part of your profits go toward XYZ, you know, Shark Cage scholarships or something. I don't know.
Yeah, as long as I just feel like as long
I mean, it's
as
better than
they
giving
know,
away 80%.
Right. As long as they know that I could be potentially reselling it, I just don't want them to like walk by my store and be like, wait a second, I just threw that away. You know what I mean? So as long as like I have it clear that, you know.
Or maybe you lower the percentage of the consignment.
Okay.
That maybe instead of giving them 80%, maybe you give them 50%, or you know, something that maybe is a token gesture, so that they wouldn't feel quite as, you know, I don't know. But once again, I'm probably not the right person to ask about that. So
I'll definitely keep that in mind. That's a good idea.
Nice job, Sandra. You showed a slide that said you won't take anything with stains or rips, but do things have to be clean, or what if you get some stuff donated? Are you gonna have to take time to clean it and add that sort of thing in there?
So I do, when I say stain or ripped, I just mean like something that can't be, you know, washed out. That's something that like you see it and it's there and it basically ruins the product, makes it unsellable. I do want to wash it again, just because that just kind of guarantees that, you know, it's clean and good to be sold. I don't know what other people have been doing with that, so I just, for my own kind of sanity, I do want to go through and wash it, which will add time to, you know, what I have to invest into this business.
And then will you go to any of the thrift shops that are around? I have friends that sell on Poshmark, and you know, they make a weekly trek and they go to 4 or 5, and they've told me about, they find swimming suits that sell for $65 and they buy them for less than $5. Do you plan to do anything like that to look for some other inventory?
I actually did, maybe not necessarily thrift shops, but that's a good idea. I was just thinking even Poshmark, just staying, you know, on my own phone and, you know, not having to go out. But yeah, I know a lot of places that, personally, I like to shop a lot, so I know a lot of places that I could find shirts for like $2, $3 on discount, or, you know, websites that drop their prices like crazy. So if I can find shirts that are, you know, cheap enough that, you know, someone that could just pass by and leisurely buy it, I would definitely want to resell that.
Okay, and then the only other thing I had down is that you're going to have to keep really good financial records, inventory and financial records, because you're going to have a lot of transactions taking place. You're getting from somebody, you're selling it, then you have to track them, then you have to track it with student affairs financing. You're going to have a really good platform figured out.
Got it.
You know, all the more reason to pretty much not take consignments. Because I mean, just think about, I mean, you're just like a normal item that you probably have to take a picture of it. You have to record who it's from, what their contact information is, what dollar amount you agreed with them, have the paperwork that supports that. It's just going to get really, I think, really messy really quick versus just taking in the donations and it's all mine and I can, you know.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, if I can do that, that would definitely save me a lot of trouble.
I mean, what about the audience? What do you guys think?
Seems like a really cool idea. Me and Mason were just talking. Seems really cool.
Yeah, I really think that it's encouraging for like students to like be able to make money. I think you should push that in your advertising for sure.
Oh yeah, and also one last thing. Like I don't see a problem with it being like once a week. Like say, if you could schedule around your classes to have one day where you don't have any classes, it could be like one day a week.
Yeah, and I think like maybe, I don't know how much research you've done, but like the 20%, 80% thing, I think maybe you could take even, like give the student even less and they'd still be inclined to sell their items, because we're students, we want to make money with what we have, and we don't really have too much. This would be an awesome opportunity.
Okay.
Anybody
Yeah.
else?
If I can get more, of course, I'll speak with it.
No? Okay, my question would be, would you do a website properly for this so you can have all of your inventory rather than posting each to Instagram? That would be a lot on Instagram.
I feel like it might even be easier for me on Instagram,
Okay.
just because it would just be laying it out, taking a picture and uploading. A website would be like a domain, and
Yeah.
I would be promoting a whole different website. And I
Okay.
feel like Instagram is such a convenience factor for students because they are already on the app, they're already seeing it in passing. Whereas a website, I might have to push that more. I
Okay.
don't know, but if it becomes like really, really, you know, successful and there is like a big, you know, turn in and I simply can't like manage it all on Instagram, sure, of course, if it expands that big, I would get a website.
Okay, and then my next thing would you do like maybe a bidding war for like higher end items?
Yeah,
To
yeah,
kind of
that's,
make it
I
more
know that's what
of an
Poshmark
event?
does. They offer, you know, they make offers and
Yeah.
buyers can make offers, sellers can make offers. So yeah, if I do get something, right now I am planning on it being more low key items, you know,
Okay.
bringing a Chanel purse
Yeah.
in, you know,
Just in
bidding it
case.
off. But I don't doubt that someone will have something that might be a little bit nicer to give away, so I would.
Okay. And then one thing, I probably wrote it on your stuff, but as far as your materials, make sure they're consistent, because you have one with like flowers and one that was just red and black. It just make sure all of your promotions are,
Got it. And the same theme.
yeah,
Okay.
same thing, so they know that's your stuff.
Got it.
And then my last one will maybe host a fashion show where you can do bidding
Oh.
then, so that can make it a full event and a full experience.
Alright, sounds good. Thank you.
You're
I think this is such a good idea, and I already have like so many things that like I've worn twice, and like, that just seems really good.
Bring it over. Thank you.